Hello, and welcome to the Juneteenth 196 2020 Special Edition B.H. Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. is honored to bring to you invited guests who will share their personal life stories from past to present. B.H. Brilliant Minds Project, Inc. understands the importance of leaving a legacy after we're gone. We know it is our responsibility in keeping our stories alive, creating opportunities for the voices of our communities to be heard and seen. B.H. Brilliant Minds, once again, is bringing to you the Juneteenth 196 2020 Special Edition. We will be capturing the essence of why we are celebrating the backs, the shoulders of our ancestors who we are standing on. Their faith, their blood, their strength, their resilience, sweat, and tears are the building blocks for the generation to come. We are blowing into the winds of creation, bringing an opportunity for the brilliant minds of the future to go towards excellence. This evening, I have my sister friend. Her name is Nina, and she will share with you our first question. First, I want to say good evening. And how are you today, Miss Nina?
I'm doing very well. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, Miss Barbara.
And it is my honor to have you as my sister friend. And I am so happy for this interview. I don't know what to do. But so my first question for you this evening would be, it's kind of like a threefold, but we can go through each one. It's tell me a little bit about yourself, your family, your upbringing, and your passion. So you can do that in however order you want. We just start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and then go into your upbringing and then your family. And then we'll say the passion for last.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here with you. Any time shared with you is precious, and I appreciate the invitation. I consider myself a global citizen, actually, and that is because I was born in Africa, in West Africa, in Nigeria, but I've lived in many different countries, and right now I'm living in America. I spent most of my life in the United Kingdom, in London, but I also lived in other parts of the world as well, some parts of Europe. I spent quite a few years in Montreal in Canada, and then ended up here in America, where I met my husband, and I have two children here that are Americans as well. But I feel that, you know, having lived in different countries has really been probably the most important experience of my life in a way, because it's allowed me to really see different perspectives and to understand what I believe to be the essential truth in our humanity, which is that we're all the same. We're all the same. We eat different food in different countries. We might speak different languages. We have different religions. We have different color. But in the end, we all share the same needs and desires for love, for appreciation, for respect. We care about our children. We want them to be safe. We want them to be successful. All the same most important things we all share. And that has been a real foundation for me in having had that experience. Professionally, I'm a little bit unusual.
That's why I love you. I love unusual, because that makes us special and unique anyway, which we are.
I am a neuroscientist. I have a PhD in neuroscience. Not very many females in neuroscience, not many females of color, or any people of color in neuroscience. And I work now in the biotech industry here in the Bay Area. That's what brought me here to the Bay Area. So that's kind of a bit about me and my family and how I got here. In terms of my passion, I think it goes back to, what I said before, which is that, it's really a love for wanting to share and bring out that common bond that we all have as human beings, wanting to ensure that certainly the people around me, my family, my friends, my loved ones, anybody I touch, my co-workers, have a positive experience from that. There's a lot of pain and hurt in the world as well. And so anything that I can do to make that better, to make people feel better about their day, about their world in any shape or form, is what really drives me. And that's really what I would say is my passion, is essentially to really leave the world a better place than the one that I found.
Wow, awesome. And you made mention of, I want to go back when you were talking about culture. To me, culture is so important to be able to share our differences and who we are as a race, as a people. Share with me a little bit about the food in Nigeria. How's the food? Yes.
Yeah, Nigerian food is great. Obviously, I'm biased, but I think the Nigerian food is great. It's spicy for sure. And we have two main types of food. One is kind of rice-based. So there's a lot of rice. There's a lot of rice, which some of you might have heard about, but there's a lot of rice and stews that you eat with the rice. And the other one is called fufu, which is kind of hard, doughy, kind of solid, which you also now eat with different kinds of stew, maybe a fish stew or a meat stew. When we get into eating, we like to eat with our hands. That's the traditional way of really eating and enjoying your food. And I've tried, we're very fortunate here in the Bay Area. There are, Nigerian grocery stores here, a couple of Nigerian restaurants here as well, if anybody who's interested. So there's a lot of opportunity to enjoy and share Nigerian food, even right here in the Bay Area, which is great.
Wow. I did, my son last year paid for me to get a DNA test for our DNA. And it's crazy. I'm going to dive deeper into it because I want to find my tribe. I want to find and know about me. And it's a part of Nigeria.
I knew it.
Morocco. What about Morocco? It's Morocco, Nigerian, it's all those.
It's in the northern part of Africa.
Okay.
Morocco is in the northern part of Africa, and Nigeria is in the western part of Africa. But, ultimately, really, it depends on your belief system, but from a scientific standpoint and evolutionary standpoint, there's very, very clear evidence that we all came from Africa. Everybody came from Africa.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter what part, basically, our origins as human beings, our earliest origins as human beings are all rooted in Africa anyway.
And that is so true. And, when you get to a point in life, for me, because of the work that I do, I want to we honor our ancestors, but I want to honor my tribe. I want to know why I do certain things, what makes me tick, and I am so excited about this journey that I'm about to take upon.
Great.
And I am just like in awe, but it's, I can't think of all of the, it has Spain. It was all kinds of Irish, all kinds of 1% Irish, 1%. I was like, but it was, I got to get the actual numbers. It's in my phone. I should have pulled that up before I even got on here. But however, it's not about me. It's about you. But, for me, like you just said, culture and being able to have folks experience different cultures is important. And our children need it so. And there's so many languages. How do you pronounce your last name? And is it French or is it?
It's Nigerian.
Nigerian. Okay.
Yes, it's Nigerian. It's Orike.
Orike.
Yes.
Okay.
I know it could sound like all kinds of things. Actually, I worked a little bit in Japan a few years ago. And
oh, wow. That's exciting.
Felt that it could have been Japanese. So
right.
I don't know.
What were you doing
like I
over
said,
there?
We're all connected in the end.
That's right. What were you doing there?
So I worked on a project, and it was a collaboration with Pfizer, who everybody's heard about.
Oh,
recently,
wow.
with the COVID drug. But they have a big regional office in Nagoya in Japan. And I was working on a program that was a collaboration between the US and Pfizer in Nagoya in Japan. So I had to fly back there a few times and meet with my Japanese colleagues there. It was an interesting experience.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know, as we continue to weave the fabric of who we are, this is why it was so important for us to make sure that with the Juneteenth 196, that we were able to get the stories of individuals that's making a difference in our world and to us, you know. And I am, it has been a journey, and it has been a beautiful one. And every time I do the interviews with the folks, I'm like, oh my God, yes, this is why we did it. We did a special edition. So with that, I do want to ask you for a couple words I'm going to throw out there, and then you tell me what they mean to you. Freedom, the word freedom.
Oh, wow. That's that's a deep one there. I think, and I'm probably drawing more on my most recent experience, particularly living here in America.
Got it.
I think freedom for me is right now, where I am in my life right now, is the ability to feel comfortable being who I am in my own skin, and being in an environment that is accepting of who I am in my own skin, and being comfortable with being myself, being a Black, strong woman of color living in America, and living fully as that, without fear or without worrying about what does that look like, you know, how are people going to perceive that, what does that mean, why am I the only person in the room, you know, at work as a woman in that position, just feeling like I don't have to think or worry about that, and just being who I am and being my authentic self 100%.
Wow.
To me, that's being free.
Oh my Lord, you know, that what you just said, it explains who I am, because I can be in spaces and people are like, how are you just so, I'm like, because my father and my parents didn't play on, they made sure we knew who we were.
Exactly.
We stood in who we are. And we were not to be phony. We were not to be two-faced. We couldn't be any of those things. We had to be authentic. We had to be okay with who we are. And I had to be me. Yeah. You know, and folks is like, how are you able to do that? It's because when you have the freedom and you were taught to be that, it's easy. It comes so easy for you.
So natural, right?
Yeah. I can be in spaces, and I've had people, politicians, say to me, you know, everywhere you go, you are still you. You don't change. You're
still you. Exactly.
I don't care if you are in there with folks that got billions of dollars, or you are with someone.
You're yourself.
I'm myself. I can't be nobody else but me. And I feel, and I know that we do ourselves a disservice if we try to be somebody else.
Yes.
Because very much. It's going to come back around that you're going to have to one day be you.
Exactly. I think it's the eternal struggle, actually. I think that is the life's journey, is to find that authentic, you know, some of that time is just trying to even understand who you actually are.
Yes.
And then trying to step into being that person. Sometimes we have, you know, an environment that isn't supportive of you being who you are for whatever reason, right? So it's a struggle. And if you have the good fortune like yourself to be able to have found it, I'm so happy. And that's the life's journey, I think, is to find that place and to get to that place.
Wow. Well said. And you know, I tell people all the time, I say that you're going to be with you for the rest of your life.
That's right.
So you might as well get to know you.
Exactly.
And I tell folks all the time too, I said, if you somebody else, and most of the kids, I'm always empowering them to understand that if you are somebody else, you are a carbon copy. You're not the original. So you want to be the original. You don't want to be somebody else. You try. No. And you said that's a lifelong lesson. I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to start that journey early. You know, through my growing up and through our parents demanding that we, you know, be us.
Exactly.
And a part of that too is back to what you said. If you respect yourself, then you know you can be your authentic self. And it makes it easier for you to also respect somebody else, because you're going to demand respect for who you are.
Exactly. And I think for me, it's, you know, I wouldn't say I'm completely there yet. I think it's a journey.
It's a journey.
I think the one part that has certainly helped me a little bit more is that the alternative, which is not being yourself, in the end, it kind of catches up with you, and it's just not a great feeling, you know? So for me, it's more about, it's not a good feeling. It's not a good experience. It's not a great way to live your life in an inauthentic way. And I think with a little bit of age and maturity and time, it starts to get old, you know, and you start to be like, why? You know what I mean? There's a way that a bit of maturity also helps to fuel that desire to kind of want to get to that place where I think when I was younger, I was more willing to give up my freedom and be whoever I needed to be in that environment. But as I've gotten older, I'm less willing to do that. I'm less willing to play the game and, you know, be whoever that expectation is of me. And so I think part of it is time and maturity as well kind of helps, but it's just, you know, the alternative, which is not being yourself. It just, as my kids would say, it sucks.
And now you said you have 2 children. You have a African-American Black king. Well, he's a prince. He's a prince because he's not a king yet. But yeah, a young prince. And then you have a young princess. Tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, my kids are obviously, they're my everything. Everything, every part of me is really about my kids in the end. I think they're incredibly amazing children. They're very interesting children. I mean, because they also have lived this global experience with us in a way. They have family all over the world. I decided pretty early on as a mother that I was going to talk pretty straight to my kids at whatever age that, you know, if they ask the question, I'm going to tell them exactly what's up. And luckily with my science background, it kind of helped, so I could educate them from scientific basis of things as well. And so even though my son's 12, my daughter's 10, they're incredibly knowledgeable about the world. They're very articulate, they're very loving, they understand the values of family, which comes first. We have family code, so we bring them up understanding what the code is for our family, what we stand for: honesty, truth, integrity, compassion. So we've always, you know, talked to them in that way, in the way that I would talk to my kids exactly how I'm talking to you now, even like when they were 5. So,
that's right. Me too. I understand.
Yeah, so I think speaking to them early has helped develop them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it builds character too.
Yes.
You know, it builds character. And that's what you were saying, the code. It builds character. and which we need a lot of that in this world.
Yes.
Boy, do we need a lot.
Yes.
So, you know, your parents, you and your husband's parents, tell us a little bit about what your husband is doing.
Yeah, so he is a software consultant. I'm biased, but I would say he's quite a remarkable person. Like, aside from the fact that he's my husband, just if I may just indulge just for a moment, because I think
yes,
he's kind of emblematic of what the American dream, I suppose, the American dream for those of us who were not born in America. There's a way that the story of America was sold to us from the outside. Now, whether that's true or not, but from the outside looking in, way back when, not where we are now today in America, there's a way that America was sold as, you know, this place of opportunity, at least, you know, from the outside looking in. And so he was very fortunate to win the green card and came to America. He didn't really have very much. He had a pretty decent education in Nigeria, which was good, but he didn't have the opportunity to use much computers or anything. And he got here and he got hustled and he got a job fixing computers, even though he didn't know anything about them.
Hey.
He was like working during the day, trying to help customer service. And at night he would be studying all about computers. And, you know, cut a long story short, one way or another, through just hard work, diligence, just, you know, a unstoppable kind of drive, he's ended up being, you know, one of the top software IT consultants here in the Bay Area, in a really big company here, and just all self-taught, all self-driven.
That's what I'm talking about. Oh my God.
Pretty amazing. Yeah. So he came here with not very much, and, you know, managed to do pretty well out of it, just sheer motivation on himself. So he's pretty much an inspiration to me, really, because I don't have that level of motivation at all. I'm not like, you know, like that. So yeah, so we both essentially work in the biotech industry, which is why we're kind of here. But at the same time, I like to dispel the illusion of what that looks like, because I feel like, you know, often people see us and they're like, oh, great, you know, amazing power couple, that kind of thing, which yeah, it's great. We've done very well and achieved a lot and stuff, but it also is very challenging. It's very challenging to be, you know, Black professionals in the Bay Area at this level, both of you together doing it. And it takes a lot of, you know, collaboration and really good communication for us to make it work. But it's not easy, but we make it work. But I like to be honest and have that integrity there, because when I say things like, people are like, oh my God, amazing. I'm like, yeah, it is, but it's all really, in the end, it's hard work, like everything else. You achieve it through hard work, and, you know, even our relationship works beautifully, but it's through hard work and great communication. But he's a wonderful partner, and I couldn't ask for anybody else.
Yes. Well, you know what? This is what it's about. This personal interview, again, is about telling your personal life story. You know, this is it. And I thank you for being open to share the information. Now, do you have any siblings? Does he have any siblings here or back home? Tell us a little bit about
back home. And I have a brother who lives in Amsterdam. My other siblings live in London. His brother lives in London, and we have in Nigeria. So we're all kind of spread out, basically, but we are alone here, so that's why we have to make it work, I guess.
Wow. Yes. Oh my.
We have no choice.
Yeah, right. Wow. Well, you draw on one another. That's what it's about.
That's right.
We have to continue to draw. And then I know Mom is here too. Yes. Now, tell us a little bit about, I know she got stuck here doing COVID. Or, you know, I know she was like, I want to go home.
Yeah, she did. She came to visit last year, 2019, over Christmas, over the holidays, and she was going to stay for a little bit and return earlier this year. But COVID hit since March, and, you know, given her age, of course, we're not comfortable with her flying back to the UK. And it's tough for her because I think environment there is very different, you know, for people of color, it's very different. She's kind, it's interesting seeing America through her eyes as someone who's living through this now new. For us, we're a bit jaded. We expect all this shenanigans that we're seeing. But for her, she's just shocked, you know, because her experience from Europe is so different, where, well, at least not, I won't speak for Europe, but at least in London is very different, where, you know, as a Black person, it's a very different experience. It's much more communal. There's a lot of public transport. She walks everywhere. You know, it's a very different style of living. And so it's interesting to see it through her eyes and remember that, yeah, this America is a unique place.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we thank Mom. Tell her I love and appreciate what she's doing. And I'm grateful that you are, you know, it's a beautiful thing that, like you said, that we're jaded here and being able to see through another lens on another person's experience. And this is what it's about. This is why I get the joy out of what I'm doing, because we got so many different perspectives, so many experiences that folks have experienced. And it's so rich. Yeah. It's just rich. And I love it. So, you know, my next word would be peace. How important is peace?
I mean, is there anything more important?
Yeah. Well, you know, when I ask other people that question, we don't know, but I'm kidding.
I mean, it's everything, in the sense that everything leads to a sense of peace, right? If you have physical health and well-being, if you feel free, you know, if you're loved, you know, if you're doing what you feel passionate about, all of those things, in the end, the state that it leads to is hopefully a state of peace, a state of oneness, a state of just, okay, we're just being. That's what peace means to me. It's just, you don't need anything more, you don't need anything less. It's just all good where it is, you know? So that's how I see what peace is. So I think all those elements that we've touched on today, and, you know, some that we haven't, but all those elements kind of lead you to that state, to that place, is to kind of go back to where we all kind of belong, really. It's just that we all lose our way along the way, and all kinds of stuff happens and we get disconnected. But, you know, I'm not a hugely religious person. I'll own up to that. But for me, even when I think about, I'm more spiritual than a specific religion. But the way I see it is like we all belong to a place, and it is a place of peace. It is a place, whether you call it God or however you want to describe it, it is a state of peace from which we all belong and we're all together in. I think what happens is, along the way, unfortunately, we lose ourselves, right? We lose that connection to that place. But a return to there, to be able to get back to a state of peace, I think is getting back to that place ultimately where we all belong.
You know, and that's so true. During COVID-19, through this actual experience, you know, our prayers and our hearts goes out to the folks that lost their loved ones and ones that's going to lose their loved ones. Yes. But to me, COVID has allowed us to come back and reset. I know it's resistance. It feels like, but it's like, how do we get back to one another? Yes. And it's making you now things you say you couldn't do, you know, the time you didn't have. Now we have the time because you're forced with this particular time. Go ahead.
I couldn't agree more. It's kind of sounds controversial. Maybe some people say, you know, there's been so much suffering and so much loss of life. I mean, who could ever want for the situation that we have had? But and it's still going to be difficult, the road ahead. But I think that is, you know, if it's possible to get a silver lining, you know.
Yes, you all in my head.
That. Yeah.
You all in my head. That was the first thing that just came to my mind, was a silver lining. And I'm always a person that that's how I think. It's like, okay, it may be bad, but what's some good things that have came out of it? You know, how can we share those things, and how do we impart that into others, or give another perspective, you know, of why? Because to me, it's like you're resetting that we should come out better people. We should come out respecting.
That's my hope. That's my hope, that, you know, adversity ultimately, you know, adversity, that's, you know, once you eventually get through it, and some of us don't, quite honestly, sometimes the burden is too hard to bear. That's the truth of it. But if you get through it, hopefully you come out of it stronger, right? That's when we say what makes don't break you gets you strong. That's what it means, is you get through it. And because you've gotten through it, you've grown through that experience, and you improve through that experience. And that's what makes you, that's what being stronger is. That's how you get stronger. And actually, it's hard to get stronger just by wanting to get stronger. It doesn't work like that, right? I mean, it's sometimes I feel like it's the adversity, it's the challenge that makes you stronger. You know what I mean? But I want to be able to, for me with my kids, I want to be able to, you've got to learn how to, and it's hard. You've got to learn how to change the adversity into something that you can get out of it. But it is hard, you know, when you're hurting, when you're in pain, it's difficult. Where do you find the strength to be able to do that? But in the end, that is what the challenge is to kind of figure out a way to rise through the ashes. And our ancestors did it, and that's why we're here. So I think we can do it.
Yes, I believe we can do it. I know we can do it. And I know they are saying now, look at this. You guys over there crying over a little bit of what you're going through.
Exactly.
We had to go through. You be like, oh,
exactly. No. Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. That's what I always try and tell my kids when they talk about what's going on now and everything. You know, I think about my neighbor 3 doors down, you know, that, you know, bought their house here in my neighborhood in South Berkeley 50 years ago. And I think about I'm so emotional actually about when I even talk. What it took for them, people of color, to buy that house. You know what I mean? Yes. I mean, it doesn't compare to us with all the advantages we have with our house, you know? Yes. It's just, they paved the way, and they went through so much more, and, you know, than we're going through. And I just want to acknowledge them truly. And sometimes it can sound controversial. I get into trouble for saying it, because it sounds like you're not appreciating what we're going through now because of where I happen to be and whatever. It's not that. It's just, I think that we have to honor them and what they went through. And none of us would be here doing what we're doing, saying and having the voice that we have, if it wasn't for what they did. And they went through a lot for us. And I just honor them.
And you know that when I get to getting into, if I go there, I'm just reminded, it's like, wait a minute, hold it. Because all of what you have seen in history of what they went through, you're like, oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't go through that. No. You know, so it's like it brings in another perspective.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Boy, I tell you. And so with that there, who is it that you draw on? Whose spirit do you think you draw on from our ancestors? Mine is Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman, for sure. You know, so who do you think you draw from?
You know, actually, I sometimes struggle with this question, because I feel like I should, you know, come up with the person, one of these name people that people know about. But it's actually not. It's people like my neighbor. You know,
come on now, let's go. Yes.
It's the ordinary folks that, you know, sometimes when I look at, like, you know, we watch like Malcolm X documentary, and you see in the background, the ordinary Black people in the background, like he's speaking, you see the folks in the audience and how they carry themselves. And you think about what they went through and what life was like for them. to me, it's those people. It's those people right there. It's I still have some of those people in my neighborhood, their grandparents and descendants of those people. It's that, you know.
Yeah.
It's everyday people of color that just are struggling every day trying to make it work. It's that, you know. So I wouldn't say it's one individual.
No, that's
I feel like it's just more of a collective.
And that's a beautiful thing. That is definitely a beautiful thing that you just said that, because that's why the events that I do, I make sure that we honor individuals in the community that's making a difference. We always, folks tend to honor these folks that already have,
and they deserve it.
And they deserve. There's nothing wrong with that, but who's gonna honor the ordinary? Well, not say ordinary, because everybody is extraordinary in life.
Exactly.
Unique.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. The lesser known. It's all of those that have contributed to everything. The everyday, as we all know, the everyday life, the everyday getting up, going to work, trying to hold it down, trying to keep a job. I mean, it's hard.
Yes.
Trying to keep it all together, and to the extent that they did that, and they managed to, you know, get their homes here in Berkeley and everything, and holding on to their homes as well. You know, those that are. I mean, what else do I need right there? You know, that's enough right there.
Exactly.
Be like motivated. I can't even touch like some of the other names, that well-known names. That's like beyond my sphere.
You know, so I do want to ask, did you choose your career, or did your career choose you?
Ooh. Yeah. I think it was probably a bit of both. I think in the early stage, I definitely remember I was fortunate to have a good education. So I went to a good school that in London that had a really good science program. We had great microscopes. We were able to do a lot and see a lot of experimentation. I did remember an experience that I had, which is what the very first time, like I saw, this is going to sound really geeky and nerdy.
No.
I'm sorry, this is the scientist in me coming out. But when I saw a cell and understood how, and from there kind of understood how the body works, it's so phenomenal. Like, I wish actually that we all had a better appreciation of the miracle of what we are. Like, just this right here. It's phenomenal. Like, if you understand how it actually works, everything, speech, running, breathing, everything that we do, like if you understood the complexity of how that all works, it gives you a sort of, well, for me, it gave me a real appreciation for who we are and our creation and life and what it means. And that's why for me, I just see it all the same, because it's a human life and what it takes and the amazingness of existence and being here. I remember that very early on. So maybe in a way that was the beginning for me. And so I always became interested in science and really wanted to understand more how the body worked, and eventually kind of went on to do my master's program, and then went on to do a PhD, kind of all about understanding how we work. And that, to that extent, I think I chose that. I think the biotech industry here in America, it's not something that, you know, it's very unique to America. It's very unique to this part of the world. And so it was kind of like a natural draw to then use that scientific knowledge to figure out how can we come up with cures for disease. So I worked on cures for oncology and cancer for a little bit. That was kind of what I spent most of my early time here in America working. And now I'm doing like gene therapy, which is a whole different area, but it's using the science to cure disease, using the science to find ways to provide treatments for people. I don't think I could be doing anything else given given my beliefs and everything like that. So it's kind of come full circle, I guess I would say.
Wow, that is amazing. And it's ironic that when I woke up I all of a sudden, when I woke up this morning, I said, again, thinking about the body, how amazing it works. And I thought about death. I said, you know, we're walking, talking, and we're doing all these things and moving. And one day, it just shuts down. And there's nothing you can do.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God. And then I look in your nostrils just to see how it's designed.
Yeah,
and then
even
in
that
your
alone.
eye,
Yes.
how it's designed, you know, and
it's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Yes.
It is absolutely a miracle. And then I think about the nose, the ear, inside your ear, and inside your brain, and then your mind, and then in your throat, your tongue, and then everything. All of this stuff
going on every time.
It's in you, and it comes in a woman, and it develops into a baby inside.
I know. Don't even get me started on that
one. You talk about alien. I look at us as aliens. It's like, because it's crazy.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's so beautiful. Yes, I'm like, oh my God. And then how a heart develops, how your eye develops, in your ear, in your arms, and it's like,
it's too much. It's mind blowing.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah. I'm so glad you see it that way, because that's how I see it. And I think that helps. For me, that helps me a lot in terms of how I approach life, because you realize what you actually are, you are. You're each and every one of us, and we're all different. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, how is that possible? You know,
that's right.
We're all variations of that same thing, and there's so many of us, and we're so different and so unique. We're all amazing. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely. And then there again, if you get cut, how inside of it, your body knows what to do. It's crazy. It has its own,
it's all there,
whatever you will call it. I don't know what to call it.
Wound healing. It's all science in itself. We'll do this offline, but I'll talk to you about what goes on as soon as that happens. It'll blow your mind.
Wow. And then, you know, as you were saying, that we all, what I think about also is that our color of our skin is different. But if you cut me and you look in there, we all are the same
exact.
Yeah. The color,
I remember we talked about that. I remember we talked about that.
Yes, it's crazy.
It's true. You won't notice any difference. I know this is kind of a weird, morbid thing, but if you like did an autopsy and you didn't they would all be actually exactly the same. Exactly the same. It's just it's the outside. It's that little tiny bit of melanin, and kind of.
It's amazing to me.
We're more alike than we are different.
That's the key. That's the word right there. And if we can get people to understand that, this world will be a better place. And you know, I do want to touch base and ask about, with your business, you have a business too. And tell us a little bit about your business. And I know you also are connected with sisters over in Africa. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so what I try to do, you know, obviously in Africa, you know, it's much more difficult for, you know, women in particular to get jobs in the way that it is here. I mean, here, I know it's not the best, but in Africa, it's actually even worse, really and truly. Women are not like in the workplace. It's still, you know, it's changing now, but there's still kind of an expectation that you stay home and stuff like that. They may not have the same level of opportunity of education, and, you know, so it's different there. It's different there. So, but, you know, women are strong and industrious, and you give a woman a chance and, you know, you can't hold her down, right? So, you know, the essence is really about, you know, why we tried to start that was really about trying to empower them to, you know, be able to have their own income, independent income, so they're not sort of relying on family or husbands, or, you know, they have their own independent income. And so there's a jewelry making business where they essentially make their own jewelry. A lot of it, you know, was happening. It started, you know, 5-6 years ago when the whole, you know, Ankara fabric, the West African fabric became very popular, which was great. So they're able to make like jewelry from those fabrics, and then ship them over here, where we could then sell it here and then give them back, you know, the proceeds. So is really basically for them to have an opportunity to have their own business, you know, essentially at this point in time. So I think the more that we can empower women to be independent, whether here or there, I think the world would also be a better place just in general. I might be biased, but I think
it's okay.
I think so.
Women.
I think things would be a lot better if there were more women empowered, independent, and, you know, running the show a little bit more.
That's right. So with that question, with this particular question, and it leads right into how important is sisterhood to you? What does that mean? You know, sisterhood.
I don't think I'll be able to talk to you right now, I'll be here, if I didn't have that sisterhood. I don't think so. I don't. I mean, yeah, actually, that's all I can say. I don't think I would be who I am or be able to be where I am or in any way without sisterhood. I think maybe I'm biased as well, but I think as women of color as well, I think that has been our survival. So I think that's why it's so important for us, is because we had to have that to survive, you know, our past in many ways, and even now. And so we have had to have our sisterhood. It is part of our survival, you know, your little survival kit.
Yes.
That the sisterhood is in that survival kit, because, you know, anything goes down, at the end of the day, they're your sanity. They're the ones that make you feel okay. They're the ones that make you feel that sense of freedom. That's a place where you go to be yourself. All right. When you talk about freedom, that's the place probably where I have the most freedom in a way, because as a mom, as a wife, you know, I have to be, I'm a wife at sometimes, I'm a daughter, I'm a mom, that all these labels, that ways of me having to be a certain way, not inauthentic, but it's the role as well you have to play. But with the sisterhood, I can just be me. I don't have to be, I don't have to be anybody for anybody else. So that's what sisterhood is. It's where you get to be yourself. And that could be like a couple of individual friends. That could be a community of women. They're women even in terms of in the media I look at, that kind of project that and make you feel that way when they show up as strong women of color. You know, it's a wider community, that sisterhood. But anybody who's willing to contribute to it and join it, and I'm down, basically. I'll take it wherever I get it as well. I'm not even fussy.
Me too. And you know, it's so important to me. And that was the amazing piece with us and how we met.
That's right.
That was a part of sisterhood. I'm over, and it was crazy that day. I was it was the night before. I was drawn to go to this celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King. Over in San Francisco at the museum. And when I got there, I ended up meeting the other two sisters. And Kadesh and Piwa. And then going to you all shop and then making that connection. You know, I'm a true firm believer in, for me, the Lord will send you what you need and who you need to be connected to. And I tell all of the ladies that I know, we were brought together for a reason. At the time, we may not know what it is or why, but I know that it was for a reason. And it may be right in that time, we may do something, and it may be a time back again. But however, the connection is the key, the relationship. We will be with each other and know until we die, till we go get out of here.
Absolutely. And I just want to honor you as well. I want to honor you because you don't just talk the talk, you walk it. You walk it. A lot of people talk it, but they don't walk it. You walk it. There have been times when I haven't been in touch for a while. You're always there. You're always checking up. You're always connecting. You're always making sure. I don't know how you do it. But I just want to thank you and honor you because you are an emblem of sisterhood. You really are. You always make me feel so welcome. I can be myself. I can say whatever I want to.
Yes.
And I just want you to know I appreciate you deeply.
and vice versa. I thank you. And that's, again, the beauty of, like you said, I can be myself. I can, and I tell people, and I'll do this when I'm teaching my, if I'm doing a workshop or class, and I tell the kids or adults, it's like, I can be silly, I can have fun, I can do all these things, I can be me. But when it's time to be professional, I know how to be that at that time. But in sisterhood, you can just, like you said, be free to just, like, butt naked truth about me. This is me. Okay, this is who we are, and I can be unapologetic on just keeping it real with me and with you, and with my sisters. So it's being a woman is a beautiful thing. Our connection is, to me, it's like, man, it's beautiful.
I love
it. Is absolutely beautiful. And my last question for you for this evening would be, what would you like to leave for your legacy? What would you like to create or share with this world for your legacy?
There's a lot I could say, really, but I think the first thing that comes to mind, really and truly, is for my kids to be really good people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty hard on them about certain things, especially around that. So if I'm being honest with myself, I see the potential for them, like, I think it's like, if you think about generations and things like that, hopefully from one generation to the next, what we have to try and do, particularly as a people of color, is like, we have to leave the next generation better than our generation. Then they leave the next generation better than that. That's how we're going to kind of move a change, right? And a gradual sort of change in the end is somehow we have to be able to ensure that they have the capability of being able to have an even bigger impact than we did, and their kids have an even bigger impact. And then, so I think in a way for me to raise kids that kind of stand for that and end up, hopefully having a bigger impact than even I have had, myself, because my impact is minimal, but I feel like with the advantages in the way that they have had compared to what we had, they should be able to do more with that, and so in a way, I guess for me, my legacy would be my kids growing up to be good people, compassionate, kind, and making sure that they do the best that they can for the community which they find themselves in, and spreading it that way. It's just about paying it forward, I guess.
That's right. Well, Dr. Nina Orike, I just want to say it has been an honor and a privilege, because I know I want to make sure I stay respectful of the time of family and kids. You tell everybody I said thank you for allowing you to have the time of your family life to be here. And I do want to say that we're going to go ahead. Go ahead. Did you want to say something?
No.
Okay, so I wanted to just, again, say B-HBrilliantMinds Project Inc. will continue inviting folks to celebrate Juneteenth and honor Juneteenth. How we came up with Juneteenth 196 is, if you count from June the 19th through December the 31st, it's 196 days. So the Lord and the ancestors gave me that. It was like, stop tripping. You can have something. This is the 13th year. It's just our special edition. Nice. And I was like, floored. And they were telling me, you just do interviews on people that have, again, made a difference in our society, in our lives, and in our personal lives, and to this world. So, it's crazy. I'm so grateful to have had that opportunity to do this. And our theme for this year was, we are the breath of our ancestors. We will never break, because we are history shakers and makers. And this was and is in honor of acknowledging that Black culture, Black minds, Black breath, and Black lives do matter. And we are saying it loud because we are Black and proud. Yes, we are. We also want to thank our sponsor for this evening. If it wasn't for them allowing us to have this virtual Juneteenth celebration, and we're celebrating all the way through December and through this whole year, this is going to be a 365 days of celebrating Juneteenth. So celebrating us, and honoring what we have done and how we contribute to America and to this world. So we definitely want, again, it's the Win Rose Fund of the Common Cancel Foundation. We just want to say thank you for what you have done.